The Renegade Accelerator is open for enrollment, female leaders, executives, founders who are asking themselves, why not now? This is for you. Head to renegadeaccelerator.com. I'm Amy Jo Martin. Welcome to the Why Not Now Show. I've been getting some questions lately about Renegade, what it is, how it came to be. So I thought I'd sit down, answer some of those questions, and share a bit of my backstory. And that's what we're going to do today. Oh gosh, so small town girl, grew up in trailer parks from Wyoming to Kansas, then lived in Arizona, and we moved a lot. And it was fun. It was always an adventure because our home was on wheels. And in elementary school, changing schools was something that I look back now and I credit that to a lot of the progress that I've been able to make in business, especially change, right? You almost become used to and not addicted to change, but very welcoming of it and adaptable. And working in technology and in the industries I've worked in, that's served me very well, because if you're not constantly seeking that change, it's not going to end well, right? So we moved around a lot, and I remember running away often, but I'd always get hungry and come back each night. And I would run away because I was always just curious of what was out there. Like, I loved the idea of exploring and going, finding things or creating, a new world, and definitely had some entrepreneurial glimmers in there as I look back. I had a club once, and I did charge an entry for the club, and I've, started a lot of different things. There was this shed next to the our trailer in one of the small towns, and these were tiny towns, by the way. I mean, we had a Dairy King, not a Dairy Queen, and it wasn't open on the weekends. But there was an extra lot next to us in this one small town, and it had a shed that stays there, and then the next mobile home comes in and out, in and out. And I started using that open shed as one of my clubs where I decorated it inside, and then I just charged my friends 50 cents to come in. And I had all of these things, like my gymnastics mat. I had posters of Team Beat stars. It was probably Kirk Cameron and who knows who else, Luke Perry and Michael J. Fox. And then when we went to move to the next town, my parents were like, "Is there anything in the shed?" Yeah, there's a lot in the shed. They could not believe. I turned it into this little, anyway. So we moved a lot, ended up living in Arizona, never the smartest kid in the class, always tried to be the hardest working, had a chip on my shoulder, and ended up graduating and getting a full-time scholarship to one of the state schools, or the in-state universities. So NAU, ASU, or U of A. And I chose ASU. Headed to the big city, Phoenix. It was the #1 party school in America, and that's Playboy ranked. So had that going for me. But it was an interesting time because it was, small town girl ends up in this school of over 100,000 students. And that was a wide, open awakening. So I don't know why I had a chip on my shoulder. I'd say the chip started growing when I started getting into more of the professional sports and working in that industry, thinking I kind of needed to overcorrect, or I had something to prove. Pushing from a place of, having something to prove versus purpose has been a conversion I've worked at over time. But I think it was pretty good fuel as long as it's convertible into a more sustainable fuel, because that's fleeting. And working in the advertising industry right out of school with a marketing and business degree, I saw a lot of aspects of business. I saw media, I saw the creative side, PR, obviously marketing, account management, and client services. And I worked on all the professional sports teams in the Phoenix area and the Arizona Lottery. which was fun. And it was old school. Like we still shot commercials on film, and we had to do telecine, and we, had print ads. And that's right when the digital wave was happening, right? Websites were coming onto the scene. And it was also during the dot-com bubble burst. So there's a lot of disruption, a lot of money in motion, shifting gears. And I just loved being on the edge and helping create the website or think about what was needed, email marketing. I had a crush on brands growing up, and I felt like they were human, like they had a personality. Fast forward, it's amazing how you kind of manifest that in your life or career, because then I went on to humanize brands, literally, but like the Nike logo and the Coca-Cola logo, they were so fascinating to me because they had such power. You could see the affinity of people wanting, and I'm like, it's a logo. And I was always really intrigued by design and just what a logo could mean. And I did have a crush on brands, and I still do today. So fast forward, and, I ended up working for the Phoenix Suns in the NBA, 05-06 season to 08-09, and it was such a fun time in basketball, especially for Phoenix. We had, all of these incredible all-stars, Steve Nash, Amari Stoudemire, Sean Marion, Grant Hill, Shaquille O'Neal, like the list goes on. And I became kind of the, she'll figure it out person, mobile marketing. Amy Jo will figure it out. Or, how can we sell against some of these online assets or digital assets? And I ended up in those meetings and eventually convinced them to give me a job. I wrote the description myself. And I remember going into my boss, who was a senior vice president in the league, female. And there was a very encouraging individual, this was key, that was one of the owners. His name was Sam Garvin. And he saw it. He could see the vision that I could see too. It's like, this is where we're headed. We got to go big. There's so much more. We're just barely there. And this was bleeding edge. I mean, 05, 06, 07, 08. And I just started experimenting. And I had this new role, the director of new media and research. And I just started asking a lot of forgiveness instead of permission and trying some things out. I think the momentum came from not only seeing that this was working, but the feedback loop of people wanting to know what I knew. So a lot of the, whether it's president or ownership team, they wanted to know what I had learned. And I was 20, 30 years their junior, and I knew I had something they wanted, and that was knowledge. And that gave me confidence. And I had to remind myself of that constantly because there are billionaires in the room of some of these meetings. And I just had to keep remembering, you're here for a reason because you have information and insight that they don't. I do think having confidence in myself and what I was seeing and seeing what was working and knowing, that 5% edge became 500%, like almost overnight, especially just even externally from a following of 0 going to 1 million. Small town girl from Wyoming isn't used to that kind of spotlight, but I think the confidence of, and always feeling pretty comfortable in these, circles of power in boardrooms has come from knowing my stuff, right? And the bravery to go out and experiment and come back with results. I think that's just, we can talk all day. It doesn't matter who you are, but if I have data or I have proof, I'm going to feel confident. And of course you have your jitters and your, imposter syndrome left and right, but I found tricks for those because those I could control. And it was like, I was on an island though, right? I didn't have a crew backing me up necessarily. I remember there being a moment where I took my laptop into the arena, right? It was during the day, so the offices were literally at the same places, the arena and the practice court, and it was dark, and so you've got thousands and thousands of seats that are empty, and I just worked from there because I felt like there was so much resistance or just disapproval of this navigating and kind of diving into uncharted waters. It made everybody uncomfortable. There were no rules yet. So people don't like situations where, they don't know where the boundaries are. You're doing something new and it's like, wait, there was healthy tension, competitiveness. There was just a lot of, I believed in this way and I did it with integrity, but I did it. I had to go solo in the beginning. And then you find your advocates and allies. I loved what I was doing, and so I worked a lot because it brought me joy and energy, and it was stimulating. And I thought to myself one day, I see traction here. What if I could just do this on my own terms and design my own day? And this was 2008. And, there's this big moment in time where I meet Shaquille O'Neal and then start helping him, and we're on the team plane, and it's like a story I tell all the time, but this was a moment. And I do believe in those so much, where these moments you have a choice, and you kind of need to know how to manufacture bravery. And that's what I did. Started the first company, my first company. It was one of the first social media agencies to ever exist. And Shaquille O'Neal was our first client. Then we've got Nike, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Fox Sports, Hilton Worldwide, employees in 10 different countries. I'm a 20-something entrepreneur, never done this before, but having fun and riding the wave. Write the New York Times best-selling book. And, there came a point where I was like, why am I doing this? Why? Is there purpose? I felt like that pushing from a place to prove something, that chip on my shoulder, it's not sustainable, right? And that rock star happiness and high wasn't. So I started getting more curious, and it came to a moment one day where, I'd been on 210 flights in 1 year, averaging the 4 hours of sleep a night. The company was just, gaining in numbers and, revenue, extremely successful right out of the gate. And I was still feeling empty. And I'm at the departure board one day at JFK, and I can't remember where I was. And I finally figured out, okay, I'm in New York. And then I walk over and head to fuel up for the day, Starbucks. And I go to sign the receipt on the coffee. And I can't remember my name. And it was one of the scariest moments of my life because things were moving so fast. I had no idea what I was doing or why I was doing what I was doing. From the outside looking in, it looked amazing, right? Just got the numbers, got the stats, flying private with, fancy clients. And from the inside, it didn't match. And so I was an emotionally and physically bankrupt millionaire. And that feeling was instant. Oh, maybe this isn't what I wanted. I've been chasing all these things and I don't have any guides either. Like, it's always been me, and who am I learning from, and why am I trying to do this on my own? And fast forward, I look back at that moment and I created Renegade because I wished I had people that I could go to in moments like that, personally and professionally. And that's what we've created at Renegade. We help each other do the really, really hard stuff. Getting down those black diamond, mountains of business and life, it's the real deal. And you need guides. So that was a moment that definitely served as the genesis for Renegade. And it's not just a support group. You have your friends and family. It's solutions. It's accountability. It's skills. It's, some support, but from people who are playing at the level you're playing at, and understand the types of things you're going through and have gone there before. So they know how to navigate. But it's also leverage. You get the right people together that come from different backgrounds, have different intellectual capital, experience, skills, and mix it together. And that's a lot of networks. That's a lot of skills, exponential value exchange. And so that's a lot of leverage in that container that you don't typically get. And I needed skills from all around, not just tech or not just sports or entrepreneurial. I need the mosaic in those moments, right? And we do. There's not a one size fits all. If we just think about that term renegade, it can't be used lightly, right? You really have to be willing to own it. And I see the potential in people usually well before they see it in themselves. And I'm damn good at helping them see it and bring it out and take action on it. And so I'm a person of action, and I prefer to, that's kind of like my secret potion, right? That's what I'm uniquely qualified to do. And if it's from stage, great. But I've found with Renegade, it works really well when you help other people see how to do that for themselves and each other too, right? So, everybody has what they're uniquely qualified to do. And my joy is helping them find that. And a lot of times it takes fierce bravery, because that means whatever isn't in that zone has to change, and change isn't fun. But it's also disruption. It's like we need people doing what they're uniquely qualified to do, their gift, where their passion and purpose and skill collide. We need them in that intersection. Like that's where the solutions are for everything. The disruption that we need, it's positive. It's not destruction, but it does need some ruthless, fierce attention. And that's what I'm all about. Renegade is not an empowerment group. If we're not empowering each other already, what are we doing? Like that's just table stakes. It is really smart people who are passionate and fierce about living the life they want and making the impact they want. And as a result, usually they do very well financially too. All walks of life come to Renegade, and what they've done has already worked. They've got points on the board, right? They're usually top of their game, but they're trying to transcend that too. And so that's the big breakthrough. And we've seen, women who are some of the best. Here's one example. A top Gen Z psychologist, has a brick and mortar in a big city, and she really wanted to grow beyond and live the life she wanted while still doing this, but didn't want to be locked down geographically with an anchor. And she had this little cabin in the woods, and she wanted to move there full time, but there's like no one around, and you can't have a brick and mortar practice like that. So she completely transformed her business, took her thought leadership, leveled it up, now is able to deliver her value and distribute it in a variety of different ways, still do what she is uniquely qualified to do at more scale in a place and space that she wants to, and actually impact more people and feel more fulfilled herself. So that's like one example. You look at how people can grow their business. Well, when you have people around you in a container that has proven itself, there's a lot of trust, there's a lot of, value exchange, usually you'll end up doing business with those people. So there are several Renegades who number one lead generator is from Renegade. And it's easy. There's no soliciting allowed whatsoever, but it just happens naturally. Or we're hiring each other, we're making introductions, we're, investing in one another. And I started it originally with curriculum, and the curriculum's still there. It's a root of Renegade, but it's equal parts curriculum, accountability, and collaboration. And I quickly realized we're over 1,000 graduates in now with Renegade in 15 different countries, but I quickly realized this isn't just about what I have to offer. The big unlock here is what everybody can offer each other. And that's in terms of skills, support, resources, network, like you name it, solutions. And the original curriculum was around building your thought leadership, humanizing your brand, becoming that voice of authority so you can distribute it in a lot of different ways that, by the way, allow you to kind of scale the time in your day. Because at the end of the day, it all comes down to time. Time, money, health. Those are the three things that dictate our choices in life. And a lot of these women that come to Renegade, they're tapped when it comes to time, right? They have done it all. They've tried to do it all. And they want more. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Female leaders, executives, founders, heads up, the Renegade Accelerator is open for enrollment. Renegades are at the top of their game. They're doing all the things, but usually there's something that they really want to do. What you do is you bring your why not now idea into this 8-week program. We're focused on curriculum, the Renegade mindset, collaboration, and accountability. We are all focused on growing our thought leadership, finding more time in the day by leveraging our presence. So it is present even when we are not. We are focused on optimizing our time and money and health. It is a mosaic of all types of women from different backgrounds at the top of their game, and the value exchange is exponential. Here are some why not now ideas that have come to life through Renegade. Why not now write the book? I want to get a board seat. I want to increase my speaking fee. I want to build a company. I want to pivot from corporate into entrepreneurship. I want a promotion within corporate. I want to move my brick and mortar company online so I have more freedom. I want to travel 25% of the year but not see a dip in income. Those are a variety of why not now ideas that have been greenlit. They're done. What is your why not now idea? We're ready. If you're ready, head to renegadeaccelerator.com for more information and to apply. So much of Renegade is an operating system. It's a mindset that I've been using now for well over a decade. And I learned from the greats, right? Some of the best, most brilliant business minds and people I respect who are in alignment. And I realized that a lot, women who are coming to Renegade, they may not necessarily want to do more public speaking or increase their fee, or they may not want to write a book. But what they get from the mindset, the operating system, and then each other, as well as the resources we have to provide, and this container of leverage is what they need to get to that next level. And so that's why, the accelerator is how you get in. It's like the Renegade Highway, right? You come through the Renegade Accelerator and then you continue on. You stay in with the Renegade Collective, and we're collecting all these brilliant minds. And the value exchange is both personal and professional, meaning we're going through life together. All the big life things are happening, but the big business things are happening too. And what happened was, as I started listening, a lot of women, they're wanting to focus on their own wealth creation, rightfully so. They're wanting to learn, and the community, this container of women, started telling us what they wanted. They wanted to learn how to invest. They wanted their own imprint. They were writing books, and we realized with this group of women and this influence, this leverage, we can start to create a different playbook for investing. And that's when Renegade Global Ventures arrived. It was out of necessity. It made sense. So Renegade is able to open up access to deal flow that a lot of these women would never see or have exposure to, and also open up access to the flow of capital, but they're learning as they're doing. And we're able to bring that volume together and create potency and leverage in the form of money. So we create special purpose vehicles, which allow us to go and invest. And we've done this from early seed stage, tech startups and AI companies, all the way to private equity deals across the funding spectrum. And we're learning while we're doing. And that is the key, because that brings confidence and that brings, some sense of psychological safety because we're together, and they get to write smaller check sizes and invest in the companies they're interested in, that they can help influence as well. So that's happened a couple times now, where same with the Renegade book imprint. We have the volume, we have the interest, and that becomes leverage to go create a different formula and democratize or disrupt the way things used to be done. What that means for the author. We have a hybrid publishing where we're able to tap into one of the biggest publishers in the world, Simon & Schuster, but also have a formula where the author gets to own the value they create and they have more upside. So they've got the distribution, but they also have a different formula that serves them better financially. And these opportunities open up when you get together and start thinking through, maybe we could do this differently. Another example is the Renegade multifamily office. So we have our own family office, which is led by Lisa DiTanna, who's at Raymond James. She's one of the only 3 women in the top 50 global financial producers. She has $5 billion in assets under management and usually works with ultra high net worth individuals. Well, she became a Renegade, went through the accelerator, and realized, we could do this differently. And we opened it up and started offering that access to her and her team of 22 people. And it's life-changing. It's really cool to see how the skills and the expertise within the container can come alive and become a benefit to each other. So who is Renegade for? So first of all, we have female leaders, executives, founders, women in every industry. And that is the secret sauce, right? That is what makes this work so well. It's a mosaic. And usually these women, they're in a season of expansion. They're at the top of their game already. They've put points on the board, or they're in a transition or considering potentially a transition. The thing I hear often is these women have done the things, they've checked the boxes, and they're like, there's got to be another way, because I actually want more, but it doesn't necessarily mean doing more. It means doing it differently. And, I talk about bandwidth versus capacity. They want to be flying higher. They want, the life that they envisioned, time with their kids. They want time to travel. They want their money working for them. And it's a different playbook, because a lot of times they're burnt out and they're ready for a different way to do things. So with a Renegade mindset, these women have a different point of view. They're flying higher. They're thinking so much bigger. And that opens up so much more earning potential. But it also opens up a smarter way to do things oftentimes, which means more time. And, the light bulb kind of starts to come on, and the realization of, we can do this differently. We don't necessarily have to do what's always been done. That's something that takes a lot of bravery. And they're at that point. They're looking around. I did the things. I'm equal parts burnout and kind of bored now. From the outside looking in, it looks great. But what about how I feel and the quality of life my day to day? You can redream, and you do get to. And a lot of times it's just lifting up, flying higher, getting more potent of what you're good at, and being able to focus on what you are here to do. The Renegade Accelerator is an 8-week program, and it's just long enough to take both a personal and professional why not now idea. Example would be, I'm going after that promotion, or I want to start investing. I'm going to, start traveling 25% of the time. And so you bring a personal and professional idea. I want to get on a board. I want to increase my speaking fee, or just start public speaking. Write a book. And we work it through the operating system. for 8 weeks and you're focused. And this isn't, hypothetical. This is literally working on your goals. And it's just long enough to get the traction and the momentum and results to teach you how to think differently. So these two ideas are vehicles, and they're examples of how you can do this all day, every day. And it's, it's proof, but it's also, high octane because you're with other women in an intimate setting that are doing the same thing. And you feel valuable because you are able to help others with your expertise that they don't have. And it's, it's that contagion of getting after it and collectively using your skills, influence, leverage, contacts, networks, and just accountability. Calling each other out and being real and direct. That's why it's 8 weeks. And that is the foundation of Renegade, right? Now you know it, you get it, and you get to continue on and keep doing that, in different respects, whatever it is that you're focused on now. It's confusing sometimes to people. They say, oh, is this for entrepreneurs or is this for corporate? And great question, because, usually you don't mix this type of skill set. These bubbles don't usually collide. And intentionally, yes, it's for both. And by the way, also doctors and individuals in the military and women in private equity, VC. Here's why. We all need to continue to focus on how we can grow our persuasion, grow our presence, even if it's offline. But even if you look at online, when you're able to make more of an impact and your presence is present, even when you are not, and you are able to persuade in rooms, at tables, whether you're in corporate or you're building your own company, that's valuable, right? Whether you're, raising money or you are looking for that next promotion in corporate, it is always equity you will have for the rest of your life to build that persuasion and ability to influence. So that's why it ends up being for everyone. And that's smart because all these women are tapped when it comes to time and they want more time. And that is a way to start scaling yourself and scaling your footprint. One of the things I love about Renegade is it is member driven, and we're committed to each other's goals fiercely, just as much as our own. And with that, there's a lot of open sourcing, I call it. If you are an expert in a certain area and Renegade collective members want to learn that, there's an interest, you create a Renegade ring and you get to organize and get together, and it's literally like a network. And that can happen with any topic, AI, health, speaking, you name it, snowboarding. And we're able to unlock and really expose that talent and expertise in everyone. Also, we have this thing called Renegade Red Hot Seats. And we have a Renegade, whether it's virtual or in person, because we do it in person too. They sit in the seat and they have 5 minutes to explain what their current challenge opportunity is. The individuals, the Renegades there, have 5 minutes to ask questions, and then there are 5 minutes to offer up insights and thoughts on how they can solve that problem. And the things that have happened in 15 minutes in this group are mind-blowing. The one woman, she just had to lay off like 50 people, and she's trying to reorg and figure this out quickly while everybody else is worried they're going to leave. She's worried that everybody else is, concerned about their jobs. And the amount of expertise and advice that came her way was incredible. Another woman, legal things come up, needing to navigate a legal issue that someone else had been through. And that would have taken time and a lot of money to just get steered in the right direction from outside third-party, attorneys. We have a lot of attorneys in Renegade too. But, other women, I just need an introduction to this one company. And this is why. And who do you got? And sometimes it's personal, but I just learned as an SVP that my male counterpart is making 30% more. What am I going to do? The expertise and the years of walking the planet in that circle are able to just pour in, and it's like solution, and support, but we get things done. Renegades hold quite a bit of power. And if these individuals are able to then expose their circles, their networks, their teams, friend sets to a different way to think, then that becomes more scalable, right? That becomes more impactful. You see the ripple effect. It's like contagion in a good way. And what happens when we do that is we start disrupting systems. We start doing things differently, having different models for the way things used to be done. And it's really reinvention. This isn't just innovation. So really looking at a certain infrastructure and saying, does that make sense anymore? Could we find a better way to do that? Just like we are within Renegade, they're doing that in their own worlds. And a lot of times it comes down to a different way to look at economics, a different way to make money, to leverage things that will then offer those opportunities. And that opens the gate for more change, more disruption. But that is the goal, is to open source this way of thinking and get more people acting in a way that makes sense for right now versus the way we've always done it. So people need to ask themselves, why not now 100 times a day, right? Not just the big things, but the little things too. And also, why not stop something right now that isn't working? So that mentality, all we have is this moment, and we vote with our time. So time, money, health, that's why I'm so bullish about those 3 buckets, because at the end of the day, we don't know what's happening tomorrow or the next day. It's not guaranteed. So if you're not taking action right now, then you're leaving time on the table. And money. There's nothing wrong with money. My cowboy hat ring was actually my great-great-grandmother's, and she was a badass renegade. She rode side saddle on her horse and with her dress on. But she just kind of exuded that, I'm going to do this my way. I'm still going to do what I want to do. And I just love it. So this was her cowboy hat ring. A current why not now that I haven't what if could I have just started taking some action? Trying to think of something that I haven't greenlit. My why not nows have been more stopping things, especially over the last year. Like my schedule looks radically different. And they've been a lot of internal why not nows. The external stuff I feel like I'm good at. Let's go live on a boat. Let's write a book. Let's start a company. Let's whatever. It's the operating of like protecting time and letting go of things. That's been more of the why not now. The big, tall boundaries, big, open heart. That's where I am.
Pirates and ninjas, who's tougher and why?
Pirates are tougher because they have more fun, which makes them healthier, which makes them have more stamina. And they'll just thrive. I can't.
What's something you're reading right now?
I'm reading a few different things right now. I am reading, I'm rereading Untethered Soul. I'm reading, I just read Atomic Habits. Legit. I'm big into like consistency, trying to just focus on consistency. Consistency is sexy, right? It's the one thing that compounds over time that we know we can do. And have power over. Like, why wouldn't we do that? But it's a lost art in science, I think. We all want everything right now.
If you could have a superpower, what would it be?
Fly. I'd love to fly.
What is that?
Because I just like to be up high, and that's where I get my best ideas. You know, like, feel like you can just see the future, and you can, I don't know, you're more efficient up there, right? Altitude, it requires less fuel. And I mean with wings, right? Not just private jet. I would like some wings, and I like red, probably with like beautiful and really long, like, you know, make friends with eagles and things. So the exchange on the team plane when we were headed to play the Lakers was one of the most impactful moments of my life. And if I were to be walking back down the aisle to go sit down, having just talked to Shaquille O'Neal and deciding, okay, I'm going to start my own company, my first thing. And if I were to give myself some advice, I think I would say, remember this feeling. Remember all the data going on and this feeling, because this is when you know you're going in the right direction. Like, this is the way. And we often get so confused, but like, it was so potent. There was no guessing. There was no wavering. And that clarity is something I think often we crave because we're not listening. We're not paying attention. But, oh yeah, like, you are crystal clear. So when you feel that way, take note. What's going on? It's your compass. I've been thinking a lot lately about where we are in this moment in time. AI is causing crazy change in exciting ways. And then also, like, the season of pragmatic operating that we're in. And I think there will be a lot of surfacing of underdogs, like those challengers. And when you are an underdog, you technically have an advantage because people don't see you coming. You're underestimated. And you show up, you know, on the scene and start to disrupt. And it's kind of nice because you get to operate, you know, and do what you know needs to be done without a lot of influence or eyes on you. And that's Renegade, right? Nothing that appears fancy ever started that way. And most of us were underdogs.